Hey, welcome back to The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is Luke Irwin, and I am your host. Today we have a really fun show. First, the Celtics fall back to earth. Competition matters. Joe versus Gary. The bench is starting to grow, and keeping an eye on Porzy. And then, once you hear this sound, that means we're done talking about the Celtics. We're moving on to the rest of the NBA. Like I said, so much to talk about there. The Hopes Hotel staff is overwhelmed. Locking it in with Major Wager, another episode of that. A new segment breaks ground, and the in-season tournament is in full swing. And then, of course, before signing off, I'm going to give my outlook, games to look forward to this coming week, along with the Celtics' upcoming schedule. So, yeah, so much to get into. And I suggest we do. Because this is The Dribble. So the Celtics had a pretty heavy week this week. They had 4 games this week, and in those 4 games, they split them. 2 wins, 2 losses. They lost the first 2, then they rounded out the week with a couple of good wins. So this week overall was actually really great to see, because when you start losing games in the season, you're going to lose games in the season, by the way. We're not going to go 82-0. So when you start losing them, you can start seeing the holes in your team to where things need to be patched up. I thought overall where we had holes were size and bench. 2 of the games, our bench only scored 16 points, and in those 16 points, only 2 people scored. Hauser and Cornette, and then in the other game, Hauser and Al Horford. Which brings me to Hauser. Love Hauser. He is shooting 8 to 10 threes per game, getting heavy minutes, and he is not holding back. He is catching, and he is shooting when he has an open 3, and I love it. He is such a pure jump shot, and he is a consistent 40%, 50% shooter from 3. Every once in a while when he's having an off game, since he's such a role player, he knows to back off, but he still shoots. Shooters are going to shoot, and this man is a shooter. And he's also not a liability on the defensive end. So he had a string of 3 games that were really great. I love the way Hauser's playing. He is the star of our bench so far, especially with Fast Peyton Pritchard, unable to kind of get the wheels moving. He did have 13 points in the game against the Nets, so he was able to have a little bit more of a breakout game, Peyton Pritchard was, but Hauser has been absolutely great. I do want to show a graphic real quick describing the plus-minus from the Celtics. This is a difference between plus-minus in the wins and in the losses this season. It's only 2 losses, but I thought this number was pretty interesting. In wins, Jason Tatum has a plus 164, which is total plus 166, leads the league. In plus-minus, he averages plus 166. That means in the games, when he is in the games this season, him and the Celtics outscore opponents by a total of 166 points when he's on the floor. That is ridiculous. If you look at the chart, he is way up here. The next closest is Drew Holiday, also on the Celtics, with 130 plus-minus. He has a plus 130. And then after that, it goes way down. But yeah, Tatum with a plus 164 in wins. Brown with a plus 86 in wins. Holiday with a plus 117 in wins. White with a plus 93 in wins. And Porzingis with a plus 94 in wins. That's our starting 5. And to have a starting 5 that is consistently above, all of them are above 80 on a plus minus in wins is huge. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey. In losses, Tatum still a plus, but is a plus 2. Brown is a minus 19. Holiday is a minus 6. White is a plus 2, and Porzingis is a plus 1. So what this tells me, with such a difference in plus minus and wins and losses, obviously there's going to be a difference in plus minus with wins and losses. Your wins, you have more points, your losses, you have less points, so mathematically it makes sense. But this is such a drastic difference, which again shines light on the bench. We need to fix the bench. If this is the case, that means that the bench is giving us absolutely nothing in wins and really nothing in losses. They're not supporting our starting 5 in losses, and when we win because the starting 5 gets hot. I'm going to pull up a couple shot charts from Jason Tatum. This first one here you see is Jason Tatum's shooting chart versus the Nets. Now, for people who can't see this graphic, he has only 3 attempts in the paint, and all 3 of those attempts in the paint were misses. Everything else is floating around the perimeter. He was a total for 6 for 17. He took 17 shots, only made 6, and all of them were threes or close to the three-point line. He had, like I said, only 3 total attempts in the paint. He missed all 3, and you can tell that he abandoned the paint early because he missed them. and then just started floating around the perimeter, which we do not want to see. He also had 0 points in the paint, which is not going to cut it. What we want to see a shot chart from Jason Tatum look like is this next one that I'm about to show right here. Now, this looks more like something that we want to see from Jason Tatum. Again, for people who are just listening, not watching, he has 6 made baskets in the paint alone. He had 12 paint points because of this. And then on the three, he missed a bunch of threes. He just wasn't shooting right. But what that tells me from Jason Tatum's game is that he was playing inside out. If he can get going early in the paint, get some fouls drawn, get to the free throw line, get his jumper working, then he can work himself out. If he goes inside out in his game, that's when he has those monstrous games, and that's when we are an unbeatable team, essentially. The first game was the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Celtics 109, Timberwolves 114. This was the first loss of the Celtics season, and it was a great game. Honestly, if you're going to lose one against a nice, young, hungry team like this, and Ant-Man played out of his mind, it was a really fun game to watch. The Timberwolves defense is really strong. Gobert looks to be back in his Defensive Player of the Year form. He looks really good, but they forced the Celtics into a lot of ISO game, which we don't like as Celtics fans. We know that for the past couple of years, that's what it's been all about. It's been all ISO, Tatum ISO, Brown ISO, but it was forcing Drew Holiday into ISOs. It was forcing Kristaps Porzingis into ISOs. It was kind of forcing everybody into ISOs. But really, we lost that game because of Ant-Man. Anthony Edwards is a star in this league, and I'm so excited for it. He is hungry. He is tenacious. He made all the right plays down the stretch, which for a young player, it's not just he was making shots, which he was. He was certainly making shots, but he was also just making the right play, getting rid of the ball out of a double team, circling back around, catching the ball in a better spot, taking his shot, and especially down the stretch. In the fourth quarter, he just outplayed Tatum. He just did. And in the overtime, he absolutely did. I think he had 8 or 10 points in the overtime, and he just closed out the game. We lost this game because of them, or because of him. Ant-Man was showing us all who he is going to be in the years to come, which I'll get into a little bit more during Hope's Hotel. No spoilers, but I'll be talking about the Timberwolves, trust me. So yeah, looking at the stats of this game, the Celtics shot really poorly. The Celtics shot under 40%. A total for this game, they only shot 39.1%, which if we had shot a little bit better, we probably would have won the game. But again, the Timberwolves defense was causing that low percentage. They were really great the entire game, and especially in the paint. Our three-point percentage was under 30, 28.2 as a team, especially a team where we shoot a lot of threes. We shot 39 threes in this game, and so shooting 28%. Again, you're just not going to win that game, but it was all about Reed, and it was about Ant-Man, everybody out there on the perimeter. That's what was stopping us. And so it was really, like I said, it was a really good game. The one thing that I did see that was really good out of the stat line for this is we were tied in rebounds. We each took 45 rebounds. The Celtics got 45 and the Timberwolves got 45 rebounds. That's a huge team. That's a very big team where we were actually the ones that kind of kept pace with them in the rebound game, which is kind of crazy. And on that, we had 11 offensive rebounds to their 6. So they had 6 offensive rebounds. We had 11. We were just flying around, which is good to see. Our guards can rebound. Tatum, of course, is averaging close to double-digit rebounds. I think 9.5 rebounds a game. So, I mean, we have guys who can really rebound. Nobody's averaging over 10 rebounds on this team, which could be concerning, but again, we kind of group rebound. So then individually for the players, Tatum had 32 points. He played really well. He did have 6 turnovers in this game. He's got to keep those turnovers down. Him and Brown both, especially if they're going to be having the ball as often as they do, they have to stop turning the ball over so much. 6 turnovers is not good. He was still able to have a positive plus-minus in this game, but he also had 5 steals. Yeah, Tatum had 5 steals. So 6 turnovers, 5 steals, 32 points, and he shot really well. He shot 55% from the field in this game. This game was a good game. It really was. Unlike the second game of the week, the Sixers. The Celtics, 103, the Sixers, 106. Seems like a tighter game, but this was a really abysmal game. I thought we played poorly. The Sixers are a great team without James Harden. Again, we're going to talk a lot more about that when we get into the Hope's Hotel. But I don't like what I saw just from our stars. Jason Tatum only took 14 shots in this game. He only took 14 shots. He had 16 points total, but he only took 14 shots. But again, in this game, just not impressed with Tatum. I was not impressed with Tatum again. These 2 games, the Sixers game and this Nets game, he just seemed to disappear a little bit, which is interesting. It's why I didn't pick him for MVP, given that there are so many people on this team that can score any given night. And after the game, because it's pretty easily noticed his passive nature in those two games, he was asked, is it tough for you to enter the game knowing that you might not have to score 35 as a scorer and as somebody who's prolifically scored high numbers? Is it tough to take on the task of knowing that your numbers might not be as good given such a good team? And I got a quote here from Tatum. This is what he had to say in response. He said, "No, because we're winning and we have a really, really good team. I understand that we have 4 to 5 guys that average double figures in points per game. So each night it can be a little different. It's a long season. We play a lot of games. And as long as we're winning, that solves everything." That's what I love to hear. Okay, because that attitude from your top player, that will trickle down to the rest of the players. And if other players don't care about their stats, they just care about winning, and they hear their leader saying that is huge, okay? And if he really is, he's already down 3 points from last year in his point per game total. And if he keeps it up where he just plays the right winning basketball, getting the ball to the right person, making sure to move the ball, the extra pass, making sure to be tenacious on defense and expend your energy there on certain nights that you're not shooting well instead of just trying to get to that 30 mark, we're going to win a lot of games. And if he can keep that up through the playoffs, we're going to win a lot of games. So I'm really excited that that's his mentality going into the year. I think he's still going to be just dropping an occasional 40, 50 on people. I kind of love to see that. I love an aggressive Tatum, but as long as we get the win and he plays the right brand of basketball, it doesn't matter to me. The final shot, I think, was good. It was an open shot by Porzingis. When I first saw it, I hated it. I wanted the ball in Tatum's hand. I am a firm believer that if in the NBA you put the ball in your star's hand at the end of the game, I don't care if they're 0 for 20, you put the ball in their hand. I've always thought that. And then if you look at the team stats, we had a lot of minus. The only person in the starting lineup who was in a positive was Drew Holiday, somehow with a plus 13 in this game. He played great. His defense has been absolutely smothering. He's been so good. He's been good on the block. He's been good down low. He guarded Joel Embiid for a majority of this game. I felt more comfortable with Drew Holiday on Joel Embiid than I did on Kristaps Porzingis on Joel Embiid. Kristaps Porzingis is a fine defender, but when it comes to size and power, he's just not able to stop it. He's kind of tissue paper. And Joel Embiid was having a field day. As soon as he would catch it with Porzingis on him, quick spin, step back, shoulder into the body, and he was scoring. With Holiday, he couldn't move him. Holiday is a solid piece of man, and Embiid was just stuck, couldn't do anything about it. I will say there's one funny thing about this game. Joe Mazzulla, after the game, was kind of gotten a little bit of a tiff. He was fiery in the press conference. Fiery Joe. He was fiery in the press conference, and I don't know what got into him. I mean, probably the loss, 2 losses in a row. But Gary Washburn, who is a longtime Celtics reporter, for as long as I've followed the Celtics, he has been a Celtic reporter. And Gary Washburn asked him a question about shooting so many threes in this game. Like I said, they have 47 threes in this game. And Joe Mazzulla snapped at him. And I'm just going to play the video here and the audio with it so you can hear what he had to say.
What happened there? And offensively, it seemed like you guys settled for a lot of threes. Or you took almost 50, but is that what you wanted?
I was just finished reading a great article that you wrote in 2016 that the Celtics shot too many threes, and they shot 42, and that was 7 years ago. And we only shot 5 more tonight, and they lost 121 to 114, and you blame the offense, but not the defense. So, what's your fascination with too much threes for the last 7 years?
No, it's been 7 years.
2016, it's 2023. I just read it. It was a great article.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But it was like, are the Celtics settling for too many threes? You said that 7 years ago. You're ahead of the curve.
I am ahead of my time.
Joe's right, but he's snippy. I kind of like it. Don't take shit from anybody, Joe. I love it. So Joe Mazzulla putting the hard hat on, going to work in the press conference. Again, I really like to see it. And then we found ourselves back in the win column. Yes, we did. The Celtics played the Nets in the first ever in-season tournament game. Whoa, so cool. The Celtics 121, the Nets 107. Like I said, first ever in-season tournament game for the Celtics. We got back in the win column. We played well. It's kind of tough to not play well against the Nets team without Cam Thomas and Ben Simmons. Both were on the bench with injuries for this game. So as far as the in-season tournament game goes. Just breaking it down as far as my vibe on this game, like, did it seem like a playoff game? No, it did not. It did not. The crowd didn't seem extra into it. The team didn't seem extra into it. It wasn't like a super highly competitive game like I've seen in some other in-season tournament games. The Celtics kind of cruised the whole way, albeit against the Nets, like I said, without Cam Thomas or Ben Simmons, but still, they just kind of cruised the entire way on cruise control. So it didn't seem like an extra special game, didn't seem extra competitive. I hate the court. First of all, this is the first game ever played inside of the Boston arena without parquet. The Boston Garden always gets played on the parquet, okay? Okay to the parquet. And I did not like that this was not a parquet court. Even just make the middle strip parquet. Make something parquet. It didn't feel right. Didn't feel like a home game. Felt weird. Felt like we weren't in Boston. I don't know what it was, but it didn't sit well with me. Also, the green. That's Bucks green. The dark green is for the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks, not Celtics green. Celtics green is Kelly green right here. Boom. That's Celtics green. Look at that. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's brimming with history and Red Auerbach's aura. And look at it. It's beautiful. Get out of here. So it kind of made me angry that the court was like a dark Bucks green, but I did like the jerseys. The jerseys look good on the court. The jerseys look good out there. They look like any other Celtics alternative jersey, but again, I thought they looked really good. And look, it was game 1 of our in-season tournament. It just didn't feel special, but that's okay. Didn't like the court, like the jerseys. We'll see how things progress. We'll see if things ramp up in competition as we get a little bit closer to the Las Vegas knockout rounds. But overall, it just was another game. Felt like another game, but another win and a good bounce back win as well. Which leads us to the last game of the week, which was against the Toronto Raptors. Celtics 117, Raptors 94. Not much to say for this game. It's the Toronto Raptors. They can be feisty any given night because they are an NBA team, I think. And it just was another game, honestly. This game was never in contention. We looked kind of mad that we had kind of slouched in the beginning of the week. So we came out firing on all cylinders. Jason Tatum had 27 points. Jaylen Brown had 29 points. We played really well, really aggressive. So I like to see it. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about with the Celtics was Kristaps Porzingis. I know I talked about him in the first episode a lot, but he has really impressed me. I would also just like to start by saying I'm so sorry for Robert Williams. He had season-ending surgery. He is not going to be playing this season, which does make Brad trading him look pretty good, but regardless, he is a true Celtic, fan favorite, and it's really sad to see a great guy, great player, go out like that and not have a chance to compete. I know he's a competitor. So, all the love, all the prayers to him to get better. Rob, we love you. Celtics Nation loves you. Get better soon. Can't wait to see you back on the court. But Porzingis really is not Rob. That's what I took away from this week. Porzingis can do things that Rob just can't. Rob was amazing at blocking shots, but Porzingis also is really good at blocking shots. But Porzingis can move around the perimeter so well. I just want to play one play here to just exemplify what Robert Williams could never do for the Celtics. So put this up here. It's a simple. Catches it, makes one move, dribbles into the paint, and dunks it over a guy. That would never work. Robert Williams' dunks all came on alley-oops, which were beautiful, and he presented a really big paint threat in the scoring area. But he couldn't do that. He just couldn't. We can't fool ourselves. He couldn't do that. It makes our offense so much more dynamic. I truly believe, like Tatum said, he could be the Pau Gasol to Jason Tatum's Kobe Bryant, which, I like the confidence, but we'll see how that goes. But I think it's true. He can be a player that can change this Celtics team, open up the offense for everybody else on the court. 5 people are averaging over 10 points per game. He's obviously one of them. That is, though, if he is on the court, okay? Check out this graphic I have. Porzy Tech Meter. This is the Porzy Technical Foul Meter because he has gotten already 6 technical fouls. We've played 9 games. He already has 6 technical fouls. That's going to be terrible. That's almost a technical foul a game. We can't have that. For those of you who don't know, once a player gets 16 technical fouls, that means they are now on a suspension per every 2 technical fouls. For example, if he reaches that 16 mark, the 16 technical foul mark, for every 2 technical fouls after that, so on the 18th technical foul, he'll miss a game. On the 20th technical foul, he'll be suspended a game. For the 22nd technical foul, he'll be suspended a game. You know what I mean? And if he is going to miss an important game, typically that lines up with playoff time. Like if it is the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6, Game 7 against the Bucks, and Porzingis got attacked in Game 5, which brought him to 18, which brought him to 20, and now he's got to miss a game, and it's the most important game, that's something to watch out for. Calm down, play your game, love the competitiveness, but keep the techs at a minimum because we do not want to lose our chance at a championship because you lost your head too many times. All right. You know what that means? That means it is halftime. We are done talking about the Celtics. Shut up about the Celtics. It is time to talk about the NBA. Okay, so we are going to actually start the NBA session of the Dribble off with the Hopes Hotel. Of course, for those of you who don't know, the Hopes Hotel is my tier ranking list for title hopes for each team. Whether you are in the parking lot, no hopes, or in the penthouse, high hopes. I put you somewhere in the hotel depending on where I think your title hopes are. Let's start with the parking lot. Go ahead and bring the parking lot up. That is the empty parking lot right there. We're about to reveal the teams that I believe are currently chilling in the parking lot. Let's go ahead and reveal them. Okay, so a little bit of a switch up here. The Washington Wizards are no longer at the bus stop smoking a cigarette and drinking some wine. That is now the Detroit Pistons. I think the Detroit Pistons are the worst team in the league right now. The Pistons have lost 7 straight, and the Wizards actually grabbed a win this week, so they're back in a parking spot. So we have the Pistons, the Wizards, the Bulls, the Jazz, the Trailblazers, the Hornets, the Raptors, the Grizzlies, and the Nets. Now, 2 new teams in here. We have the Jazz and we have the Nets. The Nets were briefly in the lobby last week. They find themselves now back hanging out in the parking lot with the other parking lot teams. And then the Jazz, I wanted them to be frisky. Last year, it seemed like they had a little bit of frisk in them, but the frisk has left. The frisk is Nisk. There's no frisk left in the Utah Jazz, so they're back in the parking lot. What can I say? I still like Markkanen. I still like their young pieces, but if we're talking title hopes hotel, it's just not going to cut it. And then, of course, the Grizzlies are still there because the Grizzlies are 1-8. They still have not found a rhythm. And if Ja gets back, they're going to have to go on like a 25-game winning streak just to be in consideration for the playoffs. Okay, those are our parking lot teams. Like I said, Pistons, Wizards, Bulls, Jazz, Trailblazers, Hornets, Raptors, Grizzlies, and the Brooklyn Nets. Let's go ahead and show the lobby. Let's go. Boom! These are my lobby teams. We have the Knicks, the Rockets, the Kings, the Pelicans, the Cavaliers, the Clippers, the Magic, and the Spurs. So we have a lot of new lobby teams here. We have the Rockets, the Pelicans, the Cavs, and the Clippers. That's 4 new lobby teams. These teams either went down from the standard rooms or they moved up from the parking lot. Let's talk about the first team that moved up from the parking lot, the Houston Rockets. Wow, impressive. Ime Udoka. Miss you, Ime. Still love you, Joe Mazzulla. Don't worry about it, Joe. I love you, Joe. But I miss Ime Udoka. He is coaching this team. It has some great young talent. Jalen Green is so impressive, so explosive, so athletic. And Ime Udoka is putting on a show as the coach. He really has galvanized this young group to play the right kind of basketball. And they've beaten some really good teams. They've beaten the Kings twice, the Lakers. They've beaten New Orleans Pelicans. Not the most top competition, but very formidable competition that has a lot of good, experienced talent the Rockets have taken down. So they've been really fun to watch too. And then the next new team is the Pelicans. The Pelicans are here. They used to have a standard room. They've been unimpressive to me. Honestly, the Pelicans have not shown me much. They've fallen to the lobby. Zion has been unimpressive. He's been healthy, which is good, but he's been only averaging 22 and 7. That's not good enough for generational talent. It's not going to cut it. I do kind of regret picking them for my wild card in the in-season tournament, but, you know, what can you do? And then the next team is the Cavs. They've picked it up. You know, they were in the parking lot last year for me, but Mitchell's doing great. He's averaging 30+. He's 3rd in the NBA in scoring right now. And if they can find more chemistry defensively especially, then I think they're going to move up into a standard room. I had to put them in the parking lot before because they were just not impressive. But again, they've found themselves in the lobby. And then the last team that has found themselves in the lobby are the Clippers. Let's talk about the Clippers, shall we? They've been kicked out of their room for sneaking an additional unauthorized guest into the room. You all know how hotels work. You have to have the certain amount of guests per hotel room that you are allowed to have. They've snuck James Harden into the hotel room And so you're out. You're kicked out. James Harden can't be there. Like I said last week, this team is basically the All-NBA first team from 2018, which is cool back in 2018, but it's 2023, and it's not going to cut it. At the time that I'm filming this, since James Harden has become a Clipper, they are 0-3. Also, look at these drastic number changes. I'm going to put up another graphic here of the Clippers before and after James Harden. Look at these numbers. Offensive rating. So the first one, O rating, means offensive rating. Without Harden, they were 5th. With Harden, they're 25th. They fell 20 spots. Defensive rating, the DRTG. They were 4th before Harden. With Harden, they're 28th. They dropped 24 spots. That's ridiculous in defensive rating. And then their net rating. 3rd. They were 3rd in the entire league before Harden. They are now 27th. Again, that is a 24-team fall down to 27th in the league. Between the legs, between the legs, between the legs, between the legs. Little step back. It's not going to do it. You have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook, who I think are all 3 better players than James Harden. And he's now out there, and it's basically the James Harden show. All right, let's go ahead and let's do the standard rooms. Boom. Some new faces here. We have the Pacers, the Thunder, the Suns, the Hawks, and the Lakers. Yes, the Pacers. I know what you're thinking. They just got 155 points laid on them by the Celtics, and teams are running points up on them. But that was without Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton is so good. And when he's there, they are a much more cohesive group, and they look really good. I know they beat the Dameless Bucks, but they still beat the Bucks. And if you would believe me if I told you that the Pacers are 3rd in the East currently. They're 3rd in the East with a record of 6-3. That's a really good record. 3rd in the East. So the Pacers have to have a room. They've been playing too well to not get a room, and they've been playing some pretty good competition and beating them handily. The other new team here is the Lakers. Last week I had the Lakers in the lobby because they did not look good. LeBron did not look so good, but this week LeBron looked amazing. If LeBron can keep this form, he is still the LeBron James that we've known and love, okay? Will he run out of gas? I don't know. But the one thing that's keeping them from a sweep right now is the fact that Anthony Davis is having hip injuries right now. He is having hip issues. If Anthony Davis is going to be Anthony Davis, which he's going to be because he's Anthony Davis, they're not going to be able to do it. They need to maybe trade Anthony Davis for a new star, but this injury-prone guy is he's inconsistent when he's healthy. But if it's just LeBron James out there, even though LeBron James is playing at an elite level, they're not going to get any further than a standard room. But LeBron James is coming through in the clutch, scoring when it matters, doing what he needs to do, getting everybody else involved. Plus, their bench and their role players, Austin Reeves, they've all been kind of revamping their play a little bit. They've looked a lot better this week. So for that, they get a standard room. Let's move on to the most exciting part, the suites. Let's go ahead and reveal the Hopes Hotel suites. Boom. Okay. We have the Sixers, the Bucks, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the only change here you'll notice is that the suites are no longer under construction. There is a 5th team allowed in the suites, and that team is, boom, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They get a suite. Like I said before, super impressed with their team. Amazing defensive team. Anthony Edwards is balling out right now. They are 3rd in the West in a very heavy West with a 6-2 record. Yeah, 3rd in the West right now with, like I said, a powerhouse of a West. And Anthony Edwards is averaging 27.9. That's 9th in the league for points per game. He has taken a huge leap from last year, and he was already great last year. But he is a killer. He's a fighter. He is somebody who can lead a team. He can galvanize the team. Rudy Gobert has been playing Defensive Player of the Year type defense. He is absolutely incredible. He is shooting 54.5% from the field, and he is averaging 2 blocks. If he can do that, and Ant-Man can do what he's doing, they deserve a suite, and who knows? If the Nuggets start to fall, maybe they get a penthouse. And then finally, let's go ahead and reveal the penthouse. There they are. That is the penthouse. Nothing has changed. The Celtics and the Nuggets. So that's the Hoops Hotel this week. Every single week changing. Tune in next week to see who is in the parking lot, who gets a room, and who maybe steals a penthouse room. Now that we're done with that, we are going to bump to a very special segment, one that we introduced last week. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my degenerate gambling brother, Tim Irwin, and we're going to start Major Wager. What's up, Timmy? How you doing, dude?
Hey, Lukey. How you doing?
How's your Sunday going, man?
Oh, dude. Terrible. Yeah. It's going real bad.
Oh yeah.
It's going great. It's going great. Great day. We went to LL Bean today with the family. Had a good day. But from a gambling perspective, it's been rough. I got to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
I
You
was
betting on NBA or
I was on the
NFL?
Saints. I was on the Bengals. I was on the Will Levis hype train. You know, yeah. I took a clobbering today, Lukey. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Now I know this is a basketball podcast, but I just have to say I'm hurting, and I think that people should know that that it's been a rough one.
We'll see. Well, like you said, this is not an NFL podcast. If it were, we could talk all day about that. But it's an NBA podcast, and we are doing Major Wager, my favorite betting segment in all of sports podcasting. I'm super excited. For people who don't know, Major Wager, last week we each put in $1,000 for this, and we're going to do one single bet every single week and revisit it each week and see who won the bet, who lost the bet. And this has to be one bet, but it can be a parlay, it can be a straight bet, it can be a teaser, whatever you want to throw in it, but it has to be one single bet. All right, so I'm going to have you go first. Timmy KGB. All right, you're up to bat. What do you got for us this week?
Okay, so I've got a little same game parlay. All right, and looking at the Monday games, this is nothing if not a homer pod, right? I mean, we can admit that, we can embrace that fact. I think we should.
Yeah.
And I'll be betting on the Celtics Knicks game. I want to bet on a game that I'm going to watch the whole thing. So, all right, it's a simple bet. It's a 3-leg same game parlay.
3-leg, okay.
I'm taking the Celtics money line as one of these legs. Okay, so do I think the Celtics are going to beat the Knicks? Yes, I do. Right? I'm just there.
Yeah.
All right. So the other 2 legs, over 1.5 threes for Drew Holiday, and over 1.5 threes for my man Derek White.
Woo!
It's a simple little bet, just for each White and Holiday to hit 2+ threes.
Yeah,
I love it. Like it's a bet on Boston's backcourt. It's the White Holiday parlay.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I mean, this is a simple bet, and by the way, the odds on this are plus 202, so essentially 2-to-1 odds.
I like that bet a lot. The leg of the parlay that I think might kill you is the Drew Holiday threes. I think Derek White will definitely get 2 threes. He always does, and he seems to shoot pretty well, especially against a team like the Knicks who don't have the best perimeter defense. But Drew Holiday is give and take. Any night he can get you 5 threes, but like you said, he's hovering around that 1-3 a game. That could be the nail in the coffin. I can see 2 minutes left in the game. Drew Holiday throws up a 3 to be his second 3 of the night, and it just rims out a little bit for you, and that's that parlay going down.
I can see it too. I've been there a million times. I think this game, I mean, if I was going to add rationale to this, like I think it's going to be a win by committee game, and I think it'll be really close. Like I looked at that line. I think the line of the game is 8.5, and I was like, no way. Like I think. I mean, we played the Knicks earlier this year. We won by 4, I think it was, and I think this one's going to be close too. And I think it'll come down to White and Holiday and maybe even Hauser and people like that hitting 3. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love it.
That's 2-to-1 odds. Let me put 150.
150.
I'm gonna put 150 on that to win.
All right.
150. We'll see.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm actually going to go with the same game. I'm doing a same game parlay with the Celtics and the Knicks, but we picked completely different things. So we're not on the same anywhere. I did a 2-leg parlay, so pretty simple, but it has a pretty big payout. The first one, which again I'm really banking on it, even though lately he hasn't had the greatest scoring outings, but doing Jason Tatum over 26.5 points. And I'm also doing the money line, but for the Knicks to win.
Oh no, Luke, yeah. I love it.
I know. I'm betting against the Celtics, but this is my rationale. I'm happy either way. I win either way. If the Celtics win, I lose my parlay, but the Celtics win, so we get a W under the belt. But if the Knicks win, I get my parlay, hopefully, if Tatum can do 26.5 over. But my reasoning for it is I think Jason Tatum has had, he had 16 points, 27 points, and 23 points in the last 3 games. So that's all under 30. I think he's going to have a breakout game against these Knicks at home. The Garden will be ready for New York, and I think he's going to have a great game. He just hasn't been as aggressive, and he's due for one of those Tatum games where he goes for 30 plus. So I think 26.5 is kind of an easy grab. And then New York Knicks give us trouble. They gave us trouble last year. They actually were a tough game this year for us. And so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking New York, Boston. I hate betting against the Celtics, but I think it's actually, I'll jinx it if I bet for the Celtics. So I'm going with that. And this has a total line of plus 700.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. So
because of the Knicks money line, yeah, of course.
It's the Knicks money line. It's actually, it was negative 110 for Tatum to be 26.5 over. But with the New York money line having them win, it puts it plus 700. I'm just putting 100 down. I'm playing it a little bit safe, but I would get 800 back. So that's all I'm doing.
Say, betting a bet odds at plus 700 is safe, but yeah, I think that's a great bet. I like it. They do. You're right. They give us trouble. I think, did they sweep us last year? I think they beat us in every game. Right?
I think they did, or at least it was 1-3. I know that they gave us trouble, and every game, even the game, I think we might have won one in the beginning of the year. That was a tough game.
Oh yeah, it was the opener.
Yeah. I mean, that's right.
We beat them by 4, and it was the type of game that it was like, wow, last year's Celtics would have lost this one. I almost bet the Knicks on the spread. I don't think I would bet them on the money line. I do think we're going to win, but they've been winning. I mean, I should pull it up, but they blew out, I think, the Hornets last night. Tonight, right?
Today.
So they'll be on a back-to-back. That's something to consider.
And it's New York, Boston, you never know with them. And then also, I think the Celtics are finding themselves. I think we've hit some bumps in the road. We beat up on really bad teams. The Knicks aren't a really bad team. They're comparable competition, not to us, but they're good competition. And we're finding ourselves a little bit. And there's ebbs and flows. I think Tatum will have a breakout game, but we might find ourselves, in the problem that we've had for a while, which is the bench might not be able to bring us over the top.
I like the bet, and I like that we're on opposite sides of this.
Yeah, right.
We'll
so
about it, and you'll be rooting against the Celtics for once, and well, no, you probably won't be, but we'll see.
I'll be torn. I'll wear different hats during the game because I'll have to jump to and from. But that's why I'm excited about betting. I've never really done this. I've especially never made a bet against or for the Celtics, so I'm excited to have that feeling.
I never do, honestly. I bet all the time. I never bet against the Celtics or even the Patriots.
Do you bet for the Celtics? Do you bet on them?
No, not really. Not often. Yeah. I mean, I just kind of stay away from, those my teams, because I prefer to sort of root for the win and not. I mean, I'll sprinkle, I'll do a bet like I did today, like the two prop bets, but not often. I often bet on teams that I don't usually root for. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's good. Now we will both be watching this game. We would have been watching it anyway, but now we have some added juice to it in Major Wager. You put 150, I put 100.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I love the bets. I love the take on the Celtics. I'm really excited to see how these bets pan out. I'm going to be texting you the entire game. Everybody can watch this tonight. This game is at 7:30 against the New York Knicks. It's going to be super exciting, and you can see who's going to win the bets. I'll just say them one more time. I got Jason Tatum, 26.5 points. I got him over that. And then I also have the Knicks winning, just money line for that. And Tim, what was your bet again?
I had both Derek White and Drew Holiday over 1.5 threes tied to the Celtics money line. So that was plus 202, I think. So basically 2-1.
Love it, man. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you next week.
Great to see you, bud.
All right. Peace. All right, that was Major Wager. Love that segment. Love the bets that we had. These ones will pay out next week, so we'll see actually people me or Tim lose money or make money, so that's exciting. And then finally, the Celtics games. What we have for Celtics games coming up on the upcoming week. We have tonight, Monday night, against the Knicks. That game is at 7:30. And then also another 7:30 game on Wednesday, revenge game. The Celtics go to the Philadelphia 76ers to try to avenge the loss that we had this past week. Again, that game is at 7:30. That can be featured on ESPN. You can watch it there, or you can watch it on NBC Sports Boston. And then we have the second tournament game for the Boston Celtics against the Toronto Raptors, who we just played this Saturday. A little bit of a redundant schedule. We're playing the same teams back to back to back, which is fine. I think the NBA has kind of skewed the schedule in that way, so it's not so much traveling. But, we will see the Toronto Raptors on Friday to try to go 2-0 in the in-season tournament, so that should be really fun. And then finally, the Boston Celtics go to Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies, starting a little bit of a West Coast trip. We go to the Memphis Grizzlies, revisit Marcus Smart, see him, old pals, going to be fun, see if we can't snag another win against a team that is reeling right now. They are struggling. So yeah, that's about it though. I have nothing else to really talk about. That's the upcoming week. We covered a lot today in this episode, and thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed. This has been The Dribble.